Alright, today we are processing Ilford Delta 400 professional black and white film. So I've got it here. I'll show you the equipment that we'll be using. We'll be using a Paterson tank to keep all the light from being exposed to the film. Can opener or film stock opener to crack open the film. Scissors to cut the film and put it onto the rails within here. To slot into there. I've only got one today that we'll be working with. Got a chemical stirrer and 3 beakers that we'll be developing the dilutions within. So 3 different chemicals that we'll be using. Rapid Fixer, Ilfo 3, which is the developer, and the Ilfo stock, which is our stock bath. Paterson Daft Bag, so that's again to restrict light while dealing with the exposed film. And then some other things that we have, we've got a tub of water with a thermometer to make sure we're at 20 degrees, which I'm a little under at the moment, and a water regulator temperature control thing that's usually used for aquariums, but today we're using it for our film. So now that all the equipment is sorted, it's time to load the film onto the reels. This is done by using the can opener item and working the top of the roll of film until it pops off. This means I can handle the film without exposing it to the light, thanks to the dark bag I'm using. Using scissors, I begin to cut the leader of the film to make an even cut and get to work on loading it into the reels. The reel sits inside the tank and is not exposed to light. Without exaggerating, this process took me over 10 minutes, and it was like this the other time I developed film. So the film is now loaded into the Paterson tank and the development process can begin. I decided not to use the tub of water sitting on the right of the screen. The water wasn't getting to the right temperature and I figured it would be easier just to do it in a bathtub. So I'm now preparing the chemicals. The stop bath was the first one I prepared. It was 30 mils I believe, with 570 milliliters of water. This stop bath is the second chemical used in the process, and the first being this one here, the developer. So the final chemical I prepare is the fixer. I'm using the Ilford Rapid Fixer in this process. And I also like to label my chemicals so I don't get mixed up at all through the process. So the bath is now at 20 degrees and that's the right temperature to start. I'm using the Ilford Delta 400 film stock, and it's important to check the box for the times. So the development times for this particular film stock was within 5 minutes 30 and 12 minutes. So once your chemicals are prepared at a water temperature of 20 degrees, you can begin to pour that into the Paterson tank. So once you seal the lid, you can begin agitating, as you can see now, just back and forth gently, getting those chemicals moving around, and start your timer. So my timer is for 12 minutes and agitating it every minute. When it's not agitating, I like to sit it in the water just to keep that 20 degree temperature. This helps acclimatize the film. So now that it's been just under 12 minutes, I begin to pour out the chemical. The chemicals are safe just to be washed down the drain. So you want to be pouring out the chemicals just as the timer is finishing. And then you put your stop bath in, and you want at least 10 seconds of that, particularly being agitated. Any more than 10 seconds is also fine, so I just do a quick one and pour it out again. So now the fixer goes in, and it's about 3 minutes with 30-second intervals of agitation. So you might have seen me bang it against the side of the bath. That's just to remove any air bubbles on the film. So the fixer chemicals can actually be stored and used again in further processes. So I just store it back in the beaker to later be put into a bottle where I've got the exact amounts ready, and it's good to go for the next time I choose to develop film. So this is one of the last processes. It's just the final rinse to clean and wet the film so that it can be dried later. I do 20 agitations here just for security, with a quick rinse beforehand and afterwards. So I've got some Ilford wetting agents. They suggest you put 2 caps worth in just at the end. You can also use distilled water or a soap-based disinfectant. This just helps to clean the film and keep it wet so that it can dry and just develop a bit nicer. So I've now finished all the developing. As you can see, I can just pour out whatever's left in the tank. Have a look at the roll on the reel, just to inspect that it's on properly, because when it's in that dark bag you have no idea until this stage here. I pull it out with a weighted clip on the top and one on the bottom. This just helps it stretch out nicely so you don't get any of that curling, which helps it dry. So that's the process, that's all finished now. I've got the film on a rack drying. I'm gonna have to clean all this up, all my chemicals, all my mess. It was a bit unorthodox, some of the processes, but we got there. I think only 7 exposures didn't turn out, which is pretty efficient, 20 out of 27, I'm okay with that. Now the next process will be to scan it, to make it a digital form. So I'll be using the Cupix 35mm digital scanner. There's plenty of scanners out there. This is the one that I've got for the time being. As it's only black and white, there's not too much color exposure or anything like that I need just yet. Okay, so it's been a couple of hours since I developed the photos. They've just been sitting on that rack drying, but now it is time to scan them. So I'm going to walk through the process that I take to scan these. You can see there's a few unexposed ones for whatever reason. Could have been a problem with my camera, could have been a problem with my developing. I'm going to say it was my developing, being my second time doing this. So they all look like they've turned out quite well. There's a few of the same shot, that's just because I really wanted to get the shot, so I wasn't screwing around. And it doesn't look like there's any scratches or anything like that on the film, which is perfect. So I'm gonna get it into this Q-Pix and start to develop. Start to scan. So here I'm using my little Q-Pix machine. It's really small, pretty efficient, not the sharpest quality, however it still does the trick and still digitizes the photos. So this film was shot a couple of months ago in a little town called Clarence, close to the Blue Mountains, with my mate Sam. We did just a bit of bush bashing, finding cool spots, little crevices and plateau rocks. It was quite an interesting day. It was good fun, and the photos were a bit of a trial. I wasn't expecting anything big until Bigfoot. So this is one of those photos that I took a couple of times because I really wanted to get, and I realised if I didn't put any audio over these next couple of photos, the Bigfoot hype would have died a little bit, it would have fallen a bit flat. So you may be looking at some of these photos and thinking they would look much better on a colour film stock, and I totally agree. However, the process for developing colour film C41 is incredibly intricate, and sourcing the chemicals used for that process is incredibly hard. I cannot find them anywhere. But in saying that, if you know how to find them and where to buy them, please let me know. I need those chemicals. I really want to try it. Alright, there you have it, step by step how to develop and process your film, how to digitize it, and how to get the most out of them. Do not try this on colour film. C41 process is completely different. It requires a lot more patience, a lot more care. This can be done kind of with a few times out or temperature out. So don't rely on this process for colour. You won't get anything back. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I really hope that it inspired you to develop your own film. And yeah, let me know what you think. Leave a comment, like or subscribe. I'm not sure where I'm going to post this just yet. So thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me through this first episode or first video to this account. And yeah, hopefully more like this in the future. Cheers.